I thought I'll talk about the Euros. I'm a big Guna, but not a lot of stuff happening in the Arsenal world. Just the usual repetition of transfer rumors. Nothing really fresh, nothing concrete. But the Euros are up and running, so that I'll do a Euro live today, and I'll be doing several of these actually over the course of the summer. So, a couple of games today. The first game, Scotland. That one was a little bit dull. Scotland was really disappointing. Deservedly lost the game, and I think, as an Arsenal fan watching that game, I was actually really hoping to see Kieran Tierney playing, but KT wasn't playing. They were playing a 3-5-2, which was very, very defensive, typical, almost like a championship team in England. Very, very willing, hardworking guys on the team, but not really great players. So, they played against a team that was better than them, and deservedly lost. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about that game besides just the very special goal that Patrick Schick scored from halfway. If you can catch those highlights of the Euros today on ESPN, check that goal. I think we might already have a goal of the tournament over there with that one today. That was really, really, one of the main sparks of the game, and I actually liked the way they played as well too. The Czech Republic team, they were not too bad. The last time I've seen them play this well was when they had Rosicky in the team, and like Patrick Berger and those kinds of guys. And then in 1996, actually, coincidentally, they made it to the final of the Euros. They were the surprise package of that year. And I don't know if this team will do that well in this tournament, but I kind of had more memories of that today watching the Czech Republic team play. And then the other game was pretty much like a nothing game. I think I was actually surprised that Slovakia was able to beat Poland. I had Poland edging that game. I think the red card helped a little bit, but that game was also just, it was a surprise in terms of the way it went. Unlike the Scotland game, I thought Scotland were going to draw or lose the game. I thought Poland were going to win their game, but they lost their game, and I think the red card didn't help. And Wojciech Szczesny, former Gunner, also basically gifted a goal. He made a blunder in goal today. But the game of the day was Spain, Sweden. Now, that was a game that really captivated me in the first half, especially. The Spanish team, they've gone through quite a lot of difficulties in the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, with Sergio Busquets getting diagnosed with COVID, and then the Spain squad basically having to train and improvise in the way they've set up their training leading up to the tournament. They needed to train separately. They had like a shadow squad set up for them to have like under 21s training just in case there were more positive tests in the first team squad. So because of that, I'm actually very, very pleased to have seen the way Spain played today. They tired out and kind of got worn out as the game went on, but like their first half performance really made me think back to the Spain of the 2012 Euros and the 2008 Euros. They won both those tournaments and then won the World Cup in my home country in South Africa. The way they were playing in that first half, I mean, they were really, really annihilating Sweden. You would not have known that this team was really hit hard by COVID-19 and got their whole squad basically vaccinated Friday, the 11th, and they played today. Today is the 14th. So 3 days ago, they had their players vaccinated. So I imagine some of those kids were probably suffering from the vaccine shot, because it does have some of those. It does mirror some of those COVID symptoms when people are vaccinated, especially their second dose. that you know, it usually has a 48-hour window where you are not 100. And so for them to have played the way they did, they probably deserved to, not probably, they did deserve to win that game. Spain, they played a really good game. But the really worrying bit for me is Alvaro Morata. He is just proving to be a hectically overrated player. Really, really overrated player. You know, I don't know how Chelsea paid about 70 million pounds for him. The boy is terrible in front of goal. He needs too many chances before he converts. But I did like a lot of things that I saw in that Spain game in that first 60 minutes or so. They actually were really like had some murderous statistics at the beginning of that game. And I liked that what they were doing on the left-hand side. They had like two Barcelona players at the left back and left midfield position, Pedri, as well as the left back guy. He's always old now. ALBA was playing left back, and he was captain as I guess the senior statesman in the team. They got a new team going on right now in Spain, and then it was Rodri and Koke playing with Pedri in the middle. And Pedri's like 18 years old, and he was really running things well in the midfield. And then Dani Olmo on the left wing in front of them. That was some of the most impressive things that I saw on the Spain side. And statistically, they're a beast too in that first half. I mean, like I heard some crazy statistics being dropped by the commentating team. After 16 minutes of the game, Spain had already completed more passes than in the final third. They had already completed more passes in the final third than Turkey, Macedonia, Finland, and Slovakia in their entire games. So all of those teams in their entire game, the first game of the tournament, had less passes than Spain had in the first 16 minutes of this game. That was really, really pretty impressive in the way they dominated that game. And that pretty much became the pattern for the first half. Spain, they basically passed Sweden out of the park. If you love statistics, after 18 minutes, Spain had 91% of the ball after 18 minutes. And they had passed the ball in the third. I'm repeating this part, but this is really impressive. After one full game, Turkey, North Macedonia, Finland, and Slovakia, after their first entire game, and two of those teams actually won those games, all four of them had less passes than Spain in the final third in the opposing half. But Spain achieved all of that within the first 16 minutes of the game. I think if they can fix their striker problem, maybe try Moreno instead of Morata up front. Maybe Spain, maybe a team that surprises a lot of us in how far they can get in this competition. But they've done really, really well to do what they did today, and considering that they didn't train together leading up to the tournament, and they've been dealing with this COVID issue. So like, I just want to take hats off to them and Luis Enrique. He's a controversial guy. Likes to rub people the wrong way, little arrogant, but my God, those boys played for him today, and they played for their country, and that was really, really impressive. On the Sweden side, there's a guy linked with Arsenal and several other teams, but it looks like Betis are going to probably send him back to, if Erling Haaland leaves Borussia Dortmund, this kid is probably going to end up going back to Dortmund because they have a buyback clause for him. Sweden basically set up with two banks of four, almost like Burnley in the Premier League, or a team that like Stoke. But they had this kid up front, Alexander Isak. He's about 21 years old, really good athlete, good feet on him. And in that first 40 minutes for Sweden, I mean, Sweden hardly saw the ball. And that boy next to the veteran striker Berg, who was playing next to him, he basically carried the Swedish offense until he left the game after 60+ minutes. And crazy enough, as much as Spain had all the dominance in the game, Sweden had, I would argue, the better chances in that first half. They had two chances. in that first half, and the boy was involved in both. Um, and The first one is coming off of like in the it came off the defender. The boy hit the defender and then hit the post, and then luckily it bounced onto the keeper's glove. And this was like this one actually was off the this one was the 42nd minute or 41st minute of the game. And OLMO had a header in the first 16 minutes of the game, but they really didn't have a lot going on for them. Spain, like they had a lot of the ball, almost like a Mikel Arteta Arsenal team, a lot of the ball, but not really carving the opponent open up a little bit. But like that boy, I can see why a lot of teams are going to want him, because there's like this Mbappe and Erling Haaland and all these like very fancy name players. But this youngster, man, he's got a lot going on for him. And I think he's going to make a career. And, hopefully he doesn't go back to Germany. I think that league will be, after playing in Spain for the last year with Betis, the Premier League might be a better place for him to go, or just stay in Spain. I hope that he doesn't go back to Germany unless he goes back to maybe Dortmund for a year. But Dortmund, they know how to recruit. I'll give them that. They recruit really well. So yeah, like the Spain game against Sweden, that was for me the game of the day. Really interesting contrast in styles. Sweden playing really deep in a low block with two banks of four, and then using that very gifted young man Isak to try and hit Spain on the counter, and it almost worked so well that they almost got a victory. Even though Spain had most of the ball, they created pretty much the same amount of chances in that first half. And then I do think some of the lack of preparation for Spain caught up with them in the second half. I noticed that they started to play a little bit more slow in the tempo, a lot less cutting edge. They looked a little bit lethargic, and I think the human in me wants to just accept that. I think the disruption in their preparation was just too hard for them to not be affected by it at some point in this game. So that's going to be a very interesting group to watch and see how it plays out. But I do think the Spaniards, if they can fix their goal scoring problems, they have something going on here. They have something going on. And they had some really historic numbers in terms of like the number of, possession and passes made, especially in that final third. They played really good XG type football, and a lot of high expected goals in the quality of play that they were showing in that final third when they were still fresh, and as to be expected for a team that didn't work very well together due to obvious reasons. They did get a little bit tired as the game went on. But hopefully, as the tournament advances, hopefully they will be, making waves and doing things. But yeah, that's really, really cool. Tomorrow's game is actually like that. That tomorrow is going to be a really interesting day in these Euros. But yeah, goal of the tournament, in my opinion, Petr Cech. I think that he gets moment of the day. He was definitely my moment of the day. He scored both goals for the Czech Republic, but that second goal is worth a look. Is worth another look. And final thing for me, I was going to not talk about this, but I think I'm just going to share a word or so. As much as I'm an Arsenal fan. Some of you will know I do feel like acknowledging something really horrible happened over the weekend to Christian Eriksen, and I hope that we don't see anything like that again. I think a lot of people that I like and follow have spoken at length at this, so I don't need to speak at a great detail or great length at it. But it's just been very cool to see the support for the guy from the footballing fraternity, Arsenal fans, Spurs fans, any football fan across all nations, including players, have been very, very, very good in response. I just hope that UEFA and the broadcasters moving forward, and FIFA too, actually, because this could happen at a World Cup, that they develop some kind of a protocol as to how do you respond to a medical emergency of that nature. Because I do think, you know, kids do watch this game, and it's a game that everybody watches, and it's a family type product. And for broadcasters to keep cameras on when something like that happens, it's just not right. It's not, you know, I don't want to blame them for that one time, but I hope moving forward that broadcasters will do a better job at reading the situation and not broadcasting the kind of thing that we saw with Christian Eriksen. Nobody wants to see that. Arsenal fan, any fan, nobody wants to see that, because, you know, that's a very human, like, private family situation that we shouldn't have to watch. I'm not going to talk long about that, but I just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, because I know we're all football lovers, but I also know that we're all humans, and you know, and that comes first. You know, that comes first. But thankfully, the guy has survived, and you know, his teammates and the medics in his home country, you know, were tremendous in the response, and yeah, hopefully, you know, like I said, you know, there'll be much more guideline and a little bit more streamlined way to react, because when there's no pre-thinking around those kinds of things, people then, you know, and you can't blame people for improvising on the spot, but like, hopefully we don't have to improvise to that degree, you know, because it could happen again, you know, and it's happened before. You know, we know about Fabrice Muamba, and I forget, there was a Cameroonian player as well who died similarly on the football field. Forget his name, you know. So anyway, that's it for today's live. And I'll be doing these, you know, trying to talk about the game of the day, checking out like players that are of interest. But there was not a lot of Arsenal. I mean, the most Arsenal thing that happened today was that Sweden had two players who actually graduated from the Arsenal Academy. Seb Larsson, who's now an old man at 36, captaining Sweden, had a good game in midfield. Used to have a very good right foot, and you know, could cross the ball really well. Good on free kicks. He was the older statesman in the Swedish team and was their captain today. And then a kid named Christopher Olsen too. I don't know if he made a first team debut, but I know definitely Seb Larsson made his first team debut at Arsenal. Had a career in England for a little bit, but now is back in his home country, Sweden. Chris Olsen was also playing in central midfield. A little bit of an Arsenal connection there, and then there was an Arsenal connection in the Dutch game yesterday. So I like to watch with a bit of a lens of, like, you know, some of the kids that I know, but I think I'm just going to be looking at the game of the day, looking at, like, you know, what were some of the best things about that game, and how I decide what the best game of the day is really is just the level of competitiveness between the matches. It's not so much about like the game that had all the goals or whatever. It's just the game that had a little bit more tactical nuance and a little bit more competitiveness about it. And yeah, hope you guys are staying cool and drink lots of beer, water, whatever your thing is, and stay hydrated, stay well, look after yourselves. Cheers.